We're back here on Sportsline as we continue to preview WrestleMania 34 this Sunday in New Orleans with our man, WWE analyst Justin Labar, who joins us on the phone. We do this every year, the Wednesday before WrestleMania. Justin, thanks for hanging with me, man.
I appreciate being on every year. Thank you.
Justin, let's talk about one of the other big matches on the card this Sunday, a mixed tag team match. It's going to be Triple H and his wife, Stephanie McMahon, Vince's daughter, against Kurt Angle and Rowdy Ronda Rousey, the former UFC star, maybe once in future UFC star. You know, Ronda Rousey's been rumored to be coming to the WWE for years now. It finally happened. This will be her first match. Obviously, she's got her UFC training, and she also medaled in the Olympics in judo. Have you been able to hear from anybody on the inside how her wrestling training went, and what can we expect to see from her this Sunday when she gets in the ring?
The only thing I've heard, I've spoken to some people who have good knowledge, have either been there present or have gotten good knowledge reported back to them, that her training down to the performance center, that she is she's not cutting any corners. She's not she's working as if it's her first day breaking into the business, which in some ways it is. She's doing putting in overtime, putting in extra hours. She's being attentive. So that's all things that's all good news. What that will translate to in front of 70,000 people for her first ever televised match, we wait and see. Certainly they are trying to insulate her and protect her as best as possible by putting her in a mixed tag match, by putting her in a match where 3 other people can help carry the weight, specifically Triple H and Kurt Angle. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, she will be mainly going back and forth with Stephanie McMahon, and Stephanie's not a trained wrestler either. I mean, she is a McMahon, so she knows how to perform on a big stage. So I think that she'll be able to help. Get the heat going and get the crowd riled up, and it'll be a little bit of a cat and mouse game. I'm not expecting much from Rousey. I think that they will. I think that will, if we're talking total, minutes in the match, I could see her being under 3 minutes of actual, being the legal participant tagged in. I think they'll, set her up for a few big moves. I'm sure they've been working on with her, but they'll keep it simple. There's no need to, it's live TV, so you can't unsee things. So the worst situation would be to put too much pressure on her, to ask her to do too much, and obviously the wheels start coming off, and that's a hard thing to recover from when your match has that kind of thing going for it. So and she's already got, maybe rightly or wrongly, she's already got a lot of eyes watching very closely on her, and it's even to the point to where, and I tweeted this the other night on Twitter at Justin Labar. I said, we need to separate. There's a difference between watching her closely because who she is and because she's been thrusted into this top spot. There's a difference between watching her closely and then just wanting her to fail. And unfortunately, I feel a certain vibe from some cynical portion of fans that they want her to fail. They want this to be. They want this to be a failed experiment, because for no other reason, because they think that she's coming in and taking up a spot from some other female who's been, working more years in the business or whatever. They don't understand the money maker that she is and the potential for how much money she can make her other colleagues if this all works out. So I'm wishing the best for her. I'm looking forward to it. And it's going to be certainly a hot topic and a top story the next morning for one reason or another.
See, that's the thing, Justin, and you bring up some great points. There are a lot of people that are, I don't want to say rooting against her, but wouldn't mind seeing her fail at this. I'm not one of them. I wish her all the luck. I'm with you. I hope she succeeds. I hope she becomes a big star. I've been waiting for this for a long time. That's the reason, and let me know what you feel about this. That's the reason why I would have brought her in as a heel. I would have brought her in as a heel from day one, arm-barring people left and right. She already has the finish, obviously, with the arm bar from her UFC days, and make her kind of like a female Brock Lesnar, just mowing everybody down and then slowly making that babyface turn to where she's more appreciated by the crowd. But I understand what Vince is doing. She's a big star. She's, one of the most popular female athletes in the world. Why not bring her in and put her in a big showcase match?
Sure, and from a booking psychology standpoint, I totally get what you're saying, and would agree with you. I think it's a hard thing to pull off when there's that portion of fans that are being cynical, but there also is a lot of just a lot of excitement and a lot of positivity. So I think Vince and WWE knew that whenever she showed up, there was going to be a huge reaction, like there was at the Royal Rumble, and so it's hard to maybe out the gate get her to be a heel. Now I will say that let's get through this novelty specialty marquee match. I don't think it's beyond to have her turn heel the next few months and let that be how she really breaks in. And if she's going to be on month-to-month pay-per-views, let it be as a heel, because that will be easier to learn, as you know. That will be easier to kind of get reps in the ring and figure out what she's doing. And that's not an uncommon thing. I mean, there was, fanfare for Kurt Angle, this Olympic gold medalist, when he showed up to WWE, and he was, quickly made a heel, and that was very successful for a start. Mark Henry, a guy who came in. Mark Henry had a big background. Came in, he was, a smiling babyface guy because it was a novelty thing, but then they quickly, turned him a heel, and that was a way for him to learn. And, Brock Lesnar, I mean, so many guys. So you're right. That might be the answer for the bulk of this next year, but obviously going in here to WrestleMania, they know that she's going to be smiling. They know that this is going to be a feel-good story, so they got to, just accept that she's going to be the babyface in this situation. But I think a heel might be the way to go sooner than later.
Charlotte Flair, Rick's daughter, will take on Asuka for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. This has another potential to be a good match. Obviously, Asuka's got a lot of momentum going into this. The whole undefeated streak, and she's really become a star, despite the fact she can barely speak English. Her facial expressions, the way she works in the ring, getting in there with a super athlete like Charlotte Flair. What are your thoughts on this match, and who do you have coming out on top?
It's hard to root against Asuka. Everything you said. The WWE has been more committed, potentially, perhaps they've been more committed to Asuka's booking and attention to certain details than anybody I can think of in recent memory for this length of time. I mean, for her to go undefeated in NXT, to leave NXT as champion and undefeated there, and then to continue that, not only continue it, but in convincing fashion.
Mm-hmm.
She was was the one woman not eliminated in Survivor Series. She wins the Rumble. She didn't even lose the Mixed Match Challenge. She teams up with The Miz in this oddball Facebook series for charity, and she didn't even lose that. I mean, they've done everything right with her in terms of keeping her consistently believable and tough, and she is a tough customer as is. So it's hard to root against her. I think it's going to be a very good match. It could certainly be a contender to steal a show. I know these two ladies are going to want to do that. And there's a lot of talk already amongst, again, in the rumor mill, and take it for what it is. But it's people looking at the future, saying, okay, Asuka wins here. She's got to remain undefeated then for some time. What if she remains undefeated till next year's Mania? And next year's Mania, will there be a Ronda Rousey who's ready to challenge Asuka? Wow. That's a box office draw in New York City.
Wow. Yeah, I would sign me up for that, by the way, Justin. The other women's title match, pretty interesting. You've got Alexa Bliss going up against, why am I blanking here? Help me out.
Jax.
Thank you. Nia Jax. Kind of interesting, the psychology here. You've got the little petite girl bullying the big girl, and the big girl's the victim here. And I think it's working. Nia Jax is getting a lot of sympathy. Now, a lot of that has to do with Alexa Bliss because she's a terrific heel. She gets a lot of heat. What are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, she is one of the best heels, and this is interesting. This is a talking point that I was engaged in a few weeks ago, which is it's unique to see that we're seeing these big, and when I say big, I mean physically in size, these big talents getting over as sympathetic baby faces. I mean, you have Nia Jax, in the women's division getting over now as a babyface, and you have Braun Strowman, who has exploded into a fan favorite, and he's bigger than anybody on the roster, in the men's division. So it is unique. I think there's definitely something to be said when the participants in those stories can pull that off. And obviously it helps when you have Alexa Bliss, as we said, that is probably the best heel that WWE has in the women's division. It certainly helps that she's getting that heat behind Nia, and I think when you watch that sit down that night, they're telling it goes back to what I said earlier. Not that Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss have real problems, because they're actually very good friends in real life. But
right.
There's a certain reality element being pulled to this. The people can relate to this story because bullying and looking different and accepted for your size or accepted for anything in your appearance. Everybody can relate to that because everybody's engaged in that in some way in their life. So this is something that really hits home that everybody can understand. They've tapped into something that I'm interested to see how they play out. This is one of those matches. I mean, we got 14 matches. Well, assuming that the Undertaker and John Cena happens, there's going to be 14 matches Sunday for WrestleMania between the kickoff show and the main show. So things do get, shortened and bumped and moved around. So I hope that this match does not fall victim to getting its time and effort cut.
Got about a minute left, Justin. Yeah, let's talk about John Cena v. Undertaker. Does it happen, and who wins?
It absolutely happens. You don't spend this much time teasing an audience, this much valuable TV time, and it not happen. This is an unprecedented build. It's very unique. There's only been 2 other Mania matches. That was Mania 20 and Mania 31, where Taker was not seen at all during the build. But at least during those builds, there was some bells and whistles and things catching on fire. This has been radio silent. I don't know what to make of it, but there's going to be a match one way or the other come Sunday. Undertaker's old school. He's going to want to do the job. He's going to want to lose to John Cena, and I'm not putting it past because Kid Rock's going in, and because all of the symbolic, the dead man's retired his gear. I wouldn't put it past that we see more of a biker Undertaker, a more
American badass
kind of version, especially considering this build has a lot of reality and a lot of taunts and a lot of mentions of real life being put into it. But one way or the other, we're getting this, and I think John Cena is going to walk out the winner.
All right, Justin, thanks so much. Enjoy WrestleMania, my friend, and thanks for being on.
Thanks, John.
All right, we're back to wrap the show up right after this.